All right. At this point, we have gotten to chapter 8 in Double Grape. Drink it now. And chapter 8 starts right here with this illustration. That's the main character, John, and he's got a shotgun in his hand. You know, it's out of the shot, but yeah, that's the thing, you know. Gavin Ashland is the golden boy of the family. He is calm, respectable, and knowledgeable. His golden fur shines yellowish-orange in the light of the setting sun as he walks back from the cosmetics shop with his sister, Tracy. The family look out of the window to the right of where Timothy and John had been sitting. They rest safe knowing that nothing bad has happened to them. The Ashlands' attachment to each other is born of their loneliness in the human world. They are one of only about a dozen families of canids in Nero, and those others are not yet so extensive. Finding another compatible person is never perfectly easy, but there are always dating sites. The dirty blonde old woman stares out into the streets below, watching her son and daughter swim in and out of shadows on the sidewalk. The two talk to each other. "Hey," says Tracy. "Those two, you think they might be those escaped inmates in the news?" "Why, I don't know," Gavin replies. He thinks to himself about what he saw the other day on the big wall along the shop, and why it didn't stick in his head until now, when it suddenly becomes imperative. "I guess they might be, but I can't be sure." "That's what I was thinking." She points to the poster on the high-rise across the street. Hover cars pass as the image of the two fugitives reappears on the wall. "I saw this here and I thought, nah, no way. And then at the shop next to us I saw the same thing and I thought, yeah, maybe." Gavin remembers the poster on the wall from before. He looks at the same thing as was there, only now straight in front of him. "Yeah, now I think you might have a thing going on there, sister. I don't know whether to be glad you agree or just really scared. Anyway, let's go tell everyone." Tracy and her brother walk to the stack of levels with a sort of frantic calmness in their steps. Their mother, the one watching them through the window, in a coat of dirty blonde, knows exactly what they were speaking about and pointing at. She turns and eyes their two visitors, talking casually at each other and lying on their cots. Timothy bursts out in laughter, his purple, blue, and orange-dyed fur shaking around his ears and neck, while John lies back and thinks about what is so funny. "Hey, you two," the old woman gets their attention quite easily. "Is there any specific reason other than just down and out of luck that you happen to be staying here?" They stare into the background, at each other, and then stand up and put on the faces unique of every Mick inmate. Obviously, she can't tell what this means. John begins to fib. "The story is that we were kicked out of a government research facility after being a little too uncooperative." "Oh yeah," Timothy can't help but add. "They wanted us to do a bunch of weird stuff, you know? Kind of stuff that government researchers want us to do, you know, us." He gestures between the three of them. "Ah. So," the woman continues, "you two should have the name of the agency or whatever, and I could just look them up. You know how it is, just making sure." John thinks aloud. "I'm not so sure about making sure, you know. That's a little too much of a deal, isn't it?" He thinks a little more. "Oh, no, not too much of a deal. It's called the Dental Institute City Complex. They had a lot of stuff to research on teeth." He bares his yellow fangs. Timothy pulls at his arm. "Hey, John, why don't we just go for a walk? You know what it was like walking together at the facility, right? Can't be too bad here." "That's a good idea," says the woman. "You go out and spend some time in the streets at night. It can't be too bad." As the two fugitives leave down the elevator, they carry with them a reflective yellow bag. The brother and sister barely turn the corner before they're gone down an alley and into the street. Huge vehicles buzz past them on floating magnetic thrusters. The scenery is all very different to the Mick. There, people had longboards and bikes, and were none of these vehicles in sight. Here, everyone either walks slowly and tiredly in the hot sun, searching for shade wherever it may lie in their path, or mostly take a bus up in the air or hover a foot above the ground in their protective, air-conditioned cabs. People here have more important work to do than the weirdos in the institution. Their businesses and ventures are not confined to a relatively small economic system, such as a city-sized enclosure for the mentally unstable. The work done with these vehicles, in these buildings, and in this city is altogether small compared to the global perspective. John remembers the global perspective as a massive moving machine, pushing all of every contribution anyone can make for the very better to the public. As he picked up trash, so that his route could be just clean enough for the children to play and walk along the streets, and for the hood to be beautiful. His job was something he did not want to lose, though he was not always clinging to it. He clung to the chair on the back of the truck. He jumped off to pick up the junk bags and detritus left at the side of the street, and only felt a small feeling of bother when the bins were not out by the curb. Still, he got to it and deposited the whole of his management into his work in the trash masher. He feels like he felt on terrible days, when he thought quietly about stuffing himself into the masher and maiming his body intentionally. He wants to be rid of his strife. That is what the yellow reflective bag in his hands is partly for. John and Timothy have caused traffic to travel faster, donning cheap, unpolarized sunglasses and ear gear, and retrieving from the yellow bag 2 weapons and a slew of ammunition. The security chopper from the Center Administration Tower in the Mick came equipped with portable air cannons and riot guns. Timothy lumbers around with the cannon pointed ahead, and behind him walks John, calmly toting a shotgun and a long belt of rubber shells across his chest. They cross the street like nothing happens. Hover cars stop at the red light, the walk sign turns to a walking person, and the pedestrians make their way. The fugitives travel west along the street on which Tracy's and Gavin's apartment stack lie just behind them. They, up on the top floor, take no notice of them, and are too busy reading, cooking, or talking loudly, as large families do. John and Timothy have no trouble crossing the street. They walk safely down the block and come across the dealership they wanted to visit. Entering the lot, they begin to procrastinate upon which vehicle is faster, or which can hold more of a load at a steady speed, and finally find a balance. The only chopper in the lot is designated for business use. It has a large enough cabin, similarly sized to the bulky ones from the Mick, and of course can outrun any ground vehicles. The owner of the vehicle in the dealership exits his 2-story place of business and provokes the browsing escaped inmates with a word. "Hello!" The short brown human smiles and puts out his hand to Timothy. "Nice of you two to stop by and take a look." He spies the weapons. "Now, what are you thinking about in this lot?" "We need something that can outrun a car pretty easily," begins Timothy. "And that chopper up there seems exactly capable. What are your pricing options for that?" "Well," the dealer contemplates what he can do to satisfy their need. "I'm just a small branch here. I could give you a test ride in the chopper, but to get one for you, I could order a vehicle and have it here by the end of the week." "Nah," chimes John. "That's no good, mate. We need something now." He thinks for a moment. "Where might a chopper be delivered from?" "There's a warehouse just on the other side of town." He hands them a thin plastic brochure with a map of branch locations throughout Nero. "Just outside of the wall there." He points to a position a few miles from the east half of the latitudinal wall. The distance looks too far for John. "No, thanks, but we'll gladly take the chopper up here, thanks." He bares his yellow teeth with fueled impatience and raises the shotgun. He stomps forth as Timothy lumbers with the cannon in hand, backing the poor human toward the door of his place of business. "I bet you'd like to come in," he notices, and the three enter the building as a group. The dealer retrieves a spare key from a drawer while feeling under the counter of the front desk. "Here's that for you, and if it's any help, I wish you good luck with whatever you need that thing so badly for." "Thanks," Timothy snarls. "It means a lot to us." The rainbow-furred canid and colorfully tattooed demon make their way back to the chopper and start it up. Hinges on the boom of the chopper's tail and mount of the main rotor turn gently in the setting sun. The vehicle rises and falls in a slight... Wait. No, that's chapter 9. I read a bit of chapter 9 there. But yeah, you're not getting chapter 9 yet, you know? This is chapter 8. All right, I just kept going there. Anyway, yep.